Hi guys, welcome to Learn Mandarin Chinese Beginners Level course. This is lesson number 1, Introduction to Mandarin Chinese. In this lesson, we are going to look at the alphabet, which is known as Pinyin. I've just written the Pinyin for these two characters, Pinyin, which is the characters that stand for Chinese alphabet. So, a brief introduction to Mandarin Chinese. It's spoken in mainland China, this big country here, and also in Taiwan. You may also have heard of, as well as what we call Hanyu Pinyin, which is the Chinese alphabet. You may also have heard of something called Zhuyin. Now, Zhuyin is not used widely, if not really, I would say not really now, in mainland China. It was invented by a scholar who was from mainland China, but Zhuyin is mainly used in Taiwan, this little country here. Now, I never was taught that method. I'm telling you, if you learn that method, you're like learning Japanese, basically. It is difficult if you've not, but I personally find Pinyin easy. And Zhuyin is just horrendous, the way you have to learn it. But if you get used to it, you'll know. But I'm not going to teach you that because it's not really part of Mandarin Chinese. It's not the widest used way to teach Mandarin Chinese. So the alphabet, Pinyin, it's split into two categories, the consonants and the vowels, just like in English. Now in English you might have realised that we have the vowels A, E, I, O, U, only 5 vowels, but in Mandarin Chinese we have 6 vowels. We have this extra U with the umlaut on. The consonants, now I've grouped them in 4 different rows for a reason, because as you'll see, I'm going to go through them in these rows because each row has a different sound ending. The consonants are mainly used at the beginning, so as beginnings of words. So in Pinyin, you will come across initials, i.e. beginnings, and finals in lesson 3. So just a brief intro. Consonants are used as the initials, so the initial part of Pinyin. The only exceptions are to the characters, this character, the R character, which is R, because R sometimes can be used at the end. Very rare. And the only time you might come across that at the end is when we come on to Yin, because in reality we don't often write it as 2 single characters. We have Yin, which means the is next to it. Is written small, and we write it with the R at the end. And normally this sound, we don't normally have that as an ending or final, but I'm going to go through that anyway in lesson 3. So let's look at the consonants first, because that's the easiest lot. The vowels won't be. Just to remind you that I'm going to reiterate again and again, this character, the Y character and the I character, have very similar sound. You must listen carefully to how I pronounce it. And again, as I say, I am a native speaker. I'm a native Mandarin Chinese speaker, and I've not made a single mistake with pronouncing this. And also, yes, the E character, some sources pronounce it A, that is wrong. It's pronounced differently. I'll tell you why, because E is a character that's special. And just like A, it can be used on its own with tones and actually still mean something. Okay, let's look at the consonants. First row that I was talking about, containing these 4 consonants as shown, they have what we call the W sound. So the W sound. W, not O, but W. has the or sound. So I will point to each consonant and pronounce it. So this little gap here, you just put the consonant to that gap, these 4 consonants to the gap individually. So the first one is bo, bo, bo. The second one is po, po, po. The next one is mo, mo, mo. And F is for, for, for. And as again, I would also say that you might have seen other sources, they pronounce it as bo, po, mo, for. Okay, you can pronounce it as that. Not a big deal, but you should really be pronouncing it as bo, po, mo, for, not bo, po, mo, for, because it sounds like that you're sort of pronouncing the or behind the incisors of the bottom jaw, and you're just sort of, pushing your lip down. I don't really want that to happen, because you will mispronounce words like that. So, bo, po, mo, for. If I pronounce it more slowly, bo, po, mo, for. If you didn't understand how to pronounce these consonants, I suggest that you pause the video here and rewind back to the start of this slide so that you understand fully how to pronounce these consonants. At the end, I will explain why it's important to pronounce every single character correctly. Next row, the ending of these consonants have this what we call sound. And this is why I was talking about bo, po, mo, for. If you pronounce it as you sound like bo, po, mo, for, which it kind of sounds like you're pronouncing it towards the front of your mouth, at the bottom jaw area, which doesn't sound right. So this one is du, tu, nu, lu, ge, ke, he. So if I pronounce it slowly 3 times with pointing, du, 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 tu, 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 nu, nu, lu, lu, ge, ge, ke, ke, he. So again, you just basically insert each consonant of this type to the gap. So it ends in sound. Just take note that these 7 consonants end in so du, tu, nu, lu, ge, ke, he. That's what it ends. And again, as said before, if you sort of, don't understand how it should be pronounced or miss something that I've said, do rewind back to the beginning of this slide. I will actually repeat it again now because these characters are easy, but it can be mispronounced. Du, tu, nu, lu, ge, ke, he. If you don't know how to pronounce the sound, to pronounce the sound, I would suggest that you rest your tongue flat at first and then sort of raise the middle part of the tongue so it gets closer to the palate but not as close to the palate. So, so from the bulge in the middle, but and then everything else you can pronounce it similarly like the English alphabet. You just add d and to make d and t and to make t, etc. Now the next few. Now the next lot, or the next 4 groups, are going to be a little bit tricky. This is not pronounced the same as the English equivalents. And this is why I prefer you to learn Pinyin over Wade-Giles romanization, and that also Wade-Giles romanization thing has been ridiculed by the Chinese government. And when I look at it, it uses just consonants that don't even belong in Pinyin at times, and they just use sort of Cantonese romanization to write out the pronunciation, and some don't even make sense. And especially these 3 characters, I find that they mix up. So these are an E sound. So this character here is G, so pronounced Z. So if you're Korean, you'll pronounce it more like a T, but I want you to pronounce it Z. So it's more of a Z sound. Not necessarily the Z, but Z. So, and especially those of you who are American, you probably know Z as Z, the Z character. So it's more of a Z sound, not more of a J, but Z. So G, and this one Chi, 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 Chi. So if I pronounce it without it, it'd be Z, T, S, S, Ji, Chi, Shi. So the way I would think about this is that with Ji, it's more of a J sound. Chi is more of a Ch sound, but more or less when you pronounce it, don't completely sort of bite together with your teeth. Leave a gap. And again, this diagram here shows how you should pronounce these. You just basically saying the, k, and s, and with your tongue in this position. So the little bit there that I'm pointing at, that represents your middle incisors of both your, at the front of the mouth. And this arrow is pointing to the gap actually between the tongue and the front area of the palate. So your tongue, I wouldn't say curl it up that much, but the near front part of your tongue should not really be touching that very front part of the palate that's near the gum. You should leave a slight gap and just touch the tip of your tongue ever so slightly on the front middle incisors of the lower jaw, and that should help you pronounce ji, chi, shi. Chi is more of a ch sound, and shi is more of a sh sound. Now, if you're Russian, you shouldn't struggle with pronouncing shi because it's the same character as the Cyrillic character sh. So I'm not just saying Russians, but any language that uses the Cyrillic alphabet, you should find. If you're a speaker of none of those languages that use Cyrillic alphabet, you should find pronouncing shi very easy because it's same as sh, the sh character of it, sh. So it's ji, chi, chi. I've always thought that these diagrams are very useful because they show your tongue position when you pronounce these. And again, I'm just saying, note down that the tip of your tongue should be as close to the middle incisor of your lower jaw as possible. Not necessarily rolled up that much, but sort of a little bit of a bulge at the near front part of your tongue, but not too, not too in front though. But remember, the gap should be sort of narrowed, not as narrow as what we're going to look at in the next few, so just slightly narrowed, so you get this chi, chi, chi sound. Again, if you didn't understand it or you missed something you want to pick up, rewind back to the beginning of this slide. Next group, this one. This is the one I was talking about Wade-Giles romanization being a disadvantage because they keep writing z, c, s, these two and in romanization form with either zh, and this one t as ts and s as hs. Now s is just s on its own literally, and c, yes, it is like s is like ts sound. It's like a t and s sound, but it's actually one sound, not t and s separated. So to pronounce each one, z, s, 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 s. Now, you might be asking why I written these down here. Now, you are meant to sustain the sound. These characters are not actually pronounced at the front of the mouth or by means of, vibrating the air cords, like the vocal cords, in such a way that you just pronounce naturally. You need air to vibrate the vocal cords. Pronounce this one. Z, c, s. So if you just put your hand on the in your vocal cord area, which is near the thyroid, you should be able to feel vibration when you're actually pronouncing z, c, s, and then you'll know you do it right. And again, I provided a chart about the tongue position. So again, the part I'm pointing here is the middle incisor of both jaws. Your tip of your tongue should be touching the gap between the incisors. There should be a very, very narrow gap, narrower than the one before that we looked at. So this redens your tongue, and yeah, you just basically press against the upper palate, and you say z, c, s. So z, c, s. So you pronounce it as Z as well, or Z in American English. So you say Z, not J, but Z, and then S, so TS together, T and S. And again, this character T, if you are, a native speaker or just someone who can speak a language that uses the Cyrillic alphabet, you should find this one easy because it's the exact same way as pronouncing T, and it's the same character as that, literally equivalent to that character, the t character, t. So again, z, t, s. It's very similar to the c character or s character of Cyrillic languages, Cyrillic alphabet languages. Again, as I said, so z, 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 t, t, t. Again, if you surely missed something out or you still don't understand, please, I advise you to rewind back to the beginning of this slide where I start talking about the slide and listen from there onwards. This one is going to be a little tricky. It has what we call the sound. Sound. The two R's look repeated, but it's just that the R's are vibrated at the back of the mouth. So what you're doing here essentially is, again, this is the tongue. That's the showing the incisors, the front part of each jaw. There should be a small gap, and the tongue should be slightly rolled back so that the tip of the tongue is actually touched very close to the back of the palate, not necessarily too backwards, too far back where you're going to cause yourself pain, but slightly in the middle, and you just say but I'd advise that if you are struggling at first to pronounce it with the ending, then you can round your mouth, round your lips to make it easier. But of course, I'm telling you this, but in Mandarin Chinese, we don't really round our lips in this statement, and that's what's going to be tricky about these characters. Notice the difference. So I actually point the front part or front tip of my tongue, or the tip of my tongue, I've called it, near the front of the palate. The sound is sounding like instead of we want R sound, not R, because R is basically this character here. So if I pronounce each one, R, 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 so R, 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 R. If I pronounce it slower, R, 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 R. I'm now going to repeat each one 3 times. So this one here is R, R, R. This one is R, R, R. And this one is R, R, R. And this one is R, R, R. So we've got the R sound. Now, well, it's basically saying R and R, making R. So R is, in English, obviously, you might find that some people just silent out the H. So, again, as I said, if you are a speaker of a language that uses Cyrillic alphabet, then you should be familiar with the character J, which is the character that's next to yo. So J, and it's basically the same as J, but with more of a U at the end. So you just say J and U, making R, and the CH, that is Sh, which is similarly or equivalent to the Ch sound. So it's the Ch in Ch, but with more of a U sound. So Ch, Sh. Now that's going to be easy. That is just equivalent to the sound of Sha, the character Sha in the Cyrillic alphabet. Sh, and then R again, that's a new one. But we don't actually pronounce it R all the time. That's just on its own, it would pronounce that. But when we come on to look at tones, intonation, and then combinations, pairs, diphthongs, triphthongs, etc., you'll note that there are certain pronunciation rules, and I'll go through the characters that have that rule. There are special characters in the case, but I won't come into any detail on that just yet. So, dr, tr, sh, r. Okay, these two consonants, again, you have the U and E sustained sound. So I'm going to actually pronounce it with this character first, then that one, because that's it's normally written in. But obviously, sometimes you can find it in this order, and it's easy to memorize if you said this character first and then that when you're learning. So this one is U, 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 and this character here is E, Yi, Yi. Now, these two characters you will easily get mixed up with two similar consonants that have very similar pronunciation. Don't panic, I will give you a hint at the end. So this one is Yi, Wu. I pronounce it again, Yi, Yi, Wu, Wu. Now pronouncing Wu, the lips should be rounded when pronouncing Wu. You say W, but you add U at the end, so Wu. Yi is like saying Y and E, so, and then sustaining the E to make E. The E and U, E, U, E. If I pronounce it slower, U, E. Again, if you missed something out that I just talked about here, do rewind back to the beginning of the slide when I start talking anything about this? These consonants. I'm going to move on to the next one, which the next one should be the vowels. Yes, these are the vowels. Just give me a second. So 6 vowels. Now the 2 vowels, I know that you'll get muddled up with this 2 consonants on the previous slide. Are these 2 adjacent ones here? You can easily get that muddled up with E and U. Notice how I pronounce this one compared to the other one. E and U. This one is similar but not the same. The first one is A, which is this one here. A. Next one is O. This one is U. This one is E. This one is U. This one is U. More like saying U or U. Yeah, these things here are umlauts. They are umlauts. I'm not going to bother writing the word umlaut. You should know how to spell umlauts. They are umlauts. Basically, act as umlaut, as sort of making it like not necessarily U sound, but U sound. So it's basically like saying U in German, but and Swiss German, of course. It's like saying U in German, Swiss German, but saying it's like U more of a neutral tone. So if I go through each one again, so it's A, O, U, E, U, U. So the Chinese people, they would just say A, U, U, that fast. So A, O, U, E, U, U. I'm going to actually talk about misconceptions on the next slide because it will be a summary of this. So if I pronounce it again, A, O, U, E, U, U. So this is just a recap of the consonants and vowels. Right. So again, I'll just go through them. Pour, more, for, de, te, ne, le, ge, ke, he, ji, qi, xi, zi, ci, si, wu, yi, zhi, chi, shi, and then a, o, e, u, u. So now, I think a lot of people will be questioning me at this time, and they'll probably be saying, hang on a minute, how can I distinguish between these 2 characters and these 2 characters here? And are there any possible links to them? You're probably saying, oh, is there any possible links? Now, they're very similar, and sometimes, and there will be numerous number of times you will actually see characters that do have the pronunciation Y and I, which is just pronounced E, combining the sounds together. Now, this is something that's it's quite interesting. Y and I are normally paired together to pronounce it. E and W and these characters are paired together to pronounce as oo or oo as well. So the thing is that there is not any link. So there's no link literally between these. No link. No link. So how on earth can we distinguish between these two characters? So there's no link, then it will look like this one. So how do we distinguish between the pronunciation of these characters? Now, this character has more of a w sound, and this has more of a y. So it has more of its English equivalent of w and y, the short version of w and y. So u and y. So I would want to hear you pronounce these with sort of a w. So woo, woo, and ye sound e. This one is e and oo. So you're going to probably question me again. What the equivalent's going to be? So this one, I'll say the e equivalent is like double e. So e, e like in teeth. The e there, and this character oo will be like the double o character. Double o in English. So oo and e. This one's woo and ye. Notice I'm saying as woo and ye, not oo and e. It's woo, ye. This one is oo, e. It's just basically it's just the endings of these two. In particular, the endings of these two. So the ending of that is oo, and the ending of that is e. So that's woo, and that's ye. This one's e, oo. Notice the difference now? And again, on many different sources and probably resources you've seen, you've probably seen this character E being written in front of all the consonants. That's fine for you to learn, but I'd say learn it this way because you're not going to get the E written in front of every single consonant in Pinyin, because we're going to look at that in the coming lessons. And again, I would recommend that you really practice very hard with Pinyin, because we are going to progress further, and the next few lessons it will build up and build up on this. Now, again, I've provided the chart here. It's quite useful so that you understand where the tongue position should be. So it classifies the tip of the tongue, and the position of the tongue in terms of whether, the position of the tongue on the palate, so front, centre, back, and then you've got surface of the tongue, you've got lip and teeth and both lips and everything here, so you've got articulation, and it tells you which one's nasal sound and lateral sound. So lesson 3, I'm also going to cover initials and finals. I'm going to cover all the nasal sounds. M and M is the nasal sound, and we've got N, because the one we're going to look at is when we add, we've combined N and G together to make, a different nasal diphthong. To make the diphthong, one. So that's nasal, right? We're going to look at that, and we're going to look at others. And that concludes lesson 1. So, as I said, keep calm and learn Mandarin Chinese. Really take your time. Do not rush. The more you rush, the more you're not going to understand things, and the more you're going to sort of confuse yourself. And again, I aim to teach Mandarin Chinese in a way that other tutors in the software don't, because I want to sort of crack open the bits that you find hard. This is just based on Pinyin, which is just the pronunciation. I want to actually ensure that you've mastered your pronunciation before we move on and get more advanced when we actually look at characters and pronounce them, because Pinyin is the basis. So as long as you know Pinyin and you know the sound, then you should be able to know the sounds of characters. And then after that, you should be able to take away the Pinyin altogether and be able to read things like newspapers, books, articles, information, posters, leaflets, and the end part of encyclopedias. And believe it or not, people in China, in my country, China, they have to be at least 12 years old to read an encyclopedia. Or some who are intelligent can read them as young as 5 or 6. Rare though, but mainly it's sort of, 5th, 6th grade. That's when the Pinyin goes away straight away, and then by 7th, 8th grade, you should be able to read the encyclopedia. But I would suggest you just take your time. It does take time. And when we come to look at characters, I'm going to introduce these characters in a different way because there are some characters are what we call picturesque characters. They derive from its meaning. And so in English, you just have to know the pronunciation, you have to know the meaning, right? But in Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, there are 3 things instead of 1 that you have to learn. You need to learn the symbol, the meaning, and the one that sort of people keep missing out, which is the third one, of course, as well as the symbol and meaning to it is that not only how you write it, but it's mainly not only just pronunciation, but sort of how the character is derived. It's kind of like pronunciation, but you really need to know pronunciation, meaning, and you have to also master sort of, you need to write the symbol. There's some characters that we call picturesque characters, which is 象形文字. I'm just going to pronounce it, how every other Chinese person pronounces it. Obviously, there are different dialects. I come from Beijing, which it's a northwestern dialect, which is Erhuaying a lot. So you might hear me say things like, for example, 字, which means the character. I would say it's 字儿. We had the sort of sound to it, Erhuaying sound to it, and same. We're also going to look at polyphonic characters. So characters, a single character that has 2 different pronunciations. Again, that we'll look at in the intermediate course. Advanced course is based on conversations, being able to, get engaged with conversations. And with the intermediate course, I aim to actually sort of progress to the point that we can take on simple conversations, be able to introduce ourselves. Advanced is where you really sort of you have to push yourself to get to my level, where you can just talk for 3 hours, 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 hours, non-stop. And we are also going to look at idioms, because Chinese, full of them. Not always will you think that the translation can be easy. And so the beginner's level part, I'm only going to cover pronunciation in a lot of depth, and I'm also going to cover sort of writing characters, being able to recognize characters, and then sort of introduce you to nouns, pronouns. Really, the grammar comes in on the intermediate level. Again, because the next part we're going to look at initials and finals, and I'm not thinking of doing the tones as early as I would think, but I'm going to do final initials next, as well as the tones and intonation. It's very important you actually learn the tones correctly. As I said, if you don't learn them correctly, number one, you're going to change the meaning of the word, because, for example, if this is a very common one. So, for example, the pronunciation, the character for to sleep is shui. which is the fourth tone we will look at. But if you pronounce it in a different tone, you'll pronounce it shui, which shui is the pronunciation of the character which means water. Again, like if, the common mistake I keep hearing is at the restaurant, foreigners trying to order, for example, dumplings, because they might like dumplings, and, two ways of saying dumplings. In the north, I believe we call it 饺子, and in the south, they call it 水饺. I think that's what it is. I believe so, because I do have a sort of wide background of ancestors from the south and ancestors from the north, and I do go to the south at times, and I believe that's what it's called. And yeah, so if you pronounce 水饺 in a with different tones, it will sound like 睡觉. Now 睡觉 means dumplings. 睡觉 means to sleep, and again, van can mean two meanings. Van can mean very late or bowl. So again, if you actually pronounce 睡觉 wrong and you actually conjunct it with van, then people are going to laugh at you. I can't. Again, it can be quite offensive if you pronounce words wrong. So, and it can be rude and embarrassing. So, for example, if I wanted to order dumplings, I said, ask the waitress, how much would it be if I get one bowl of dumplings, or how much is one bowl of dumplings? Now, I would be saying 小姐 or 先生, depending on if it's a man or woman, 请问一碗水饺多少块钱? And again, I do actually want to give you a tip. So like that can be actually applied with what I said, the dialect form. The Northwest dialect form, we wouldn't say that in Beijing, we'll say var, so 一碗, which is the measure word there. We would say, I would be saying 先生问女士请问一碗水饺多少块钱? Then they will know I'm saying how much is one bowl of dumplings. And I commonly hear people at Chinese restaurants trying, they're trying their best to learn Chinese, but then they end up saying 先生 or 女士 or 小姐. We would say 小姐 or 大姐 or 大妈. We don't say 大妈, but we say 小姐. I'll talk about family members in the intermediate part, but they will just say 先生 or 小姐, and they'll say 请问一碗睡觉多少块钱? Now that completely alters the meaning. You're asking the person how much will it cost to sleep with them for one night. Now I would feel embarrassed if I did say that. Obviously I know the mistake and they will know. Chinese people are quick to respond with these, to correct these mistakes. And as I said, the whole course is aimed to prevent you from, getting these mistakes. I'm actually in the middle of building the website. The website should be out by Tuesday, the latest. The app, there's a problem with that. The app was set up properly, but then I realised there's been a bug on the app. For some bizarre reason, I didn't program the bug, and the person I programmed with, we never put the bug in, but there's a bug that's sort of disabling things on the app, and I'm fixing that, and that will take its time, and it should be out in the next 2-3 weeks. So any worksheets I provide will go on the app and the website. There'll be more on the website. The app is just there to help you, especially when you actually are, for example, on train or something, or at work, and you don't, or literally traveling and you don't really have a laptop with you and you only have your phone there. All of my pronunciation will go on there. So it won't be like me rushing through these presentations, but it will be me, recording all the pronunciations in, and you can just click on it. So it'll be a single pronunciation, but you can click on it many times so you can hear it clearly, rather than me just rushing through it. The website will have some useful stuff on. All the worksheets will be on the website and on the app. However, I mean, the worksheet will be in PDF form. If there are any worksheets that just say at the end, once you've finished, please email me for answers, then you should email me and I'll give you the answers. The reason I don't put answers up there is I know for sure that people would cheat if I had the answers. And I was brought up in a very strict family, very, very strict family, and we don't tolerate cheating, and I don't tolerate cheating. So yes, and I hope you enjoy the course. It's lesson 1, it's been very long, and I'm very sorry about that, and I do apologise. The whole reason is because I'm just introducing a lot of new things in. So from lesson 2 onwards, won't be this long. Longest will be about 25 minutes. But yes. So I do hope you enjoy watching my videos and going on the new app and the website when it comes out. The app will be free, and everything on it will be free, and it will be made available to everybody. It will be made available to everybody. It will be yes, it will be applicable on Android and iOS devices. So it'll be compatible with those devices, and it will be easily found on iTunes and Google Play. So if you do have any questions, do email me. Yes, do email me. I will check all the emails. As I said, I will check them as soon as possible. I am actually considering doing Skype lessons. That won't be until probably next year when everything's gone smoothly and I've got, enough subscribers. Also, do share my resources out to friends, family, acquaintances, and anyone you know, and relatives, etc. And I really want everyone just to subscribe. So I hope you just like and subscribe. I've actually set up social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter pages, so you can just post there. I do check that every single day. So anything you post there, I will be able to see. And I will reply ASAP. Just to remind everybody that any inappropriate content, comments that are on there, and any comments that do actually contain inappropriate language like cursing, I will delete ASAP, and your account probably will be banned. So I'm telling you that I'm strict. I don't tolerate cursing either, and dirty language. I was brought from a very strict background, and should any of that occur, it would be caning. It would resort to caning and hard labour, or possibly thrown out of the house. It's just that strict. Because I had family members who are from the military, from the People's Republic of China Liberation Army, and they were generals. And I don't want to go in more detail about that. Hope you do tune in for lesson 2, which will be recorded very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. 再见。